Hello friends, Sarah here from the Children's Museum of Eau Claire, and we are going to do another painting and popcorn. So I have a little canvas that I'm going to do it on today, and I'm going to start right away by doing the sky of my painting. So we're going to do kind of a little creek that goes through with some trees and maybe some mountains and a little bit of a sunset sky. So this is obviously open to any interpretation, however you want to do this. It's going to be super simple, but also very pretty. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with some warm colors. I really like warm skies, so I'm gonna use some orange and some reds to make my sunset sky. So I'm gonna start with some orange, and I'm gonna do mine. The creek is gonna kind of go a little bit diagonal across, and then the sky is gonna be up here in the corner. So I'm just gonna start with some orange going across the top. I'm gonna put a little bit on my brush. I'm gonna make sure I get my edges as well. I'm gonna put a little bit on my brush, and then I'm just gonna keep rubbing it across the canvas until it's all off my brush. So I'm not gonna put any more on there. You can see as I'm doing it, it's starting to fade away. So that's how you can blend really easily, is if you don't put more on your brush and you just use what you have on there, it can help blend it really well. I also have some yellow on my palette so that I can lighten it up if I need to and add a little bit more depth to the color. So now I'm gonna add some red. You can also add, if you wanna put a little blue in there too, that'll help make that nice and purple. So I'm gonna blend that with my orange. I'm gonna start it there, kind of pull it down, and then I'm gonna, without putting any more paint on my brush, I'm just gonna keep swiping up, and you can see how those blend together super nicely without putting any more paint on your brush. You can pull the red up, you can pull the orange down just by continuing to swipe your brush across there without putting any more on. I'm gonna get my edges here, so those are blended as well. And then I am gonna put a little bit of blue, just a tiny little bit of blue on the bottom there so that it makes a little bit of a purple. Kind of like the night sky is coming up on the bottom there. Put a little bit more, I didn't quite have enough. We'll just put a little bit more on there to bring that purple up. So again, I'm not putting a lot on my brush, I'm just kind of blending it, continuing to swipe that across as we go. Okay, so there's all of my colors blended together for the corner of my sky. So I'm gonna put my brush in my water, tap it on the bottom so that it gets nice and clean. Get all those warm colors off there. So the next part that we're gonna do is we're gonna put some mountains in. So I'm gonna use black for a mountain, kind of like it's silhouetted by the sky. So since we didn't put a lot of color on here, a lot of paint on here, that's gonna dry pretty quick, okay? So what I'm gonna do for my mountains is I'm just gonna do the main outside and then color it in. So you can do your mountains however you want. So I'm gonna do some little mountains over here, and then I might make a bigger mountain here, and then an even bigger one here. So that it's kind of going with the sky there. And you can make them as detailed as you want. If you want, you can also do these in like a blue or a purple if you didn't want them silhouetted. You definitely can do that. And then what I am gonna do is I'm not gonna put any more paint on my brush, and I'm gonna kind of smudge the sides of them. So I'm just gonna pull that paint out a little bit so that it looks like they're kind of almost a little bit fuzzy on the outsides here. Okay. And then for the insides of my mountains, I'm actually gonna do some gray. So I'm not gonna add any more black to my brush. I'm gonna take a little bit of white and I'm gonna fill in those mountains. Again, you can do these whatever color you'd like. And I'm not adding more paint to my brush besides the white. I'm just gonna use the black that's on the sides and blend them in. You can add more paint for each mountain if you need to, but I'm gonna try not to if I don't have to. And you don't wanna cover up where you made that initial black line for your mountain, because that'll take away the definition of it. That shows where the sides are. So I grabbed a little bit more white, so I had more for this big mountain on the side here. And if you want to leave big white spots, you can do that too. That just shows maybe some snow on there or where the light is hitting it, however you want to do that. And then I'm just going to keep pulling those colors down into the bottom here. Okay, we got one mountain left. We're gonna fill that mountain in. Again, not taking away that definition of that last one that we just colored in. Okay, so now we have all of our mountains done. I'm gonna fill in down here just a little bit. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to do my creek. So I'm gonna do a blue creek that goes through there. So I'm gonna tap my brush off again. I'm gonna use a little bit bigger one for my creek. I'm gonna do a blue creek. You could do a green one if you wanted. Maybe your creek has a lot of life in it. Okay, and I'm just gonna swipe it across like this. So that's where my creek's gonna go. And then I'm gonna kind of define it a little bit more once I have that first drawing on there. You can make it wider at spots, skinnier at spots, however you wanna make your creek. So there I have my creek that runs through by the mountains. Now I'm gonna add some trees and some greenery, some forest around my creek. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a bigger brush and I'm gonna put some green on it, okay? I'm just gonna put it on the tip here and I'm gonna tap it down on my palette so that it's a little bit rough. You can see how it's a little bit rough. And I'm just gonna tap along the creek here. This is gonna be kind of my shrubbery that's along the edge. What you can do also is you can add some browns in there so that it looks like maybe it's a fall shrub to add a little bit more depth. We're gonna put lots of greenery along our creek. So you can do that all along the creek. Just tap, tap, tap. And you can pull it down if you'd like. You can put it down farther here. You can do it all along the sides. And then I'm gonna put some on the top as well. I might leave some of the white in the background. I might not fill it in all the way if I wanted to make it look kind of snowy. We will see what happens. Okay, so then I'm gonna add some more to the top here. I'm also gonna add some trees once we're done with the shrubs. So I like to have lots of, I'm gonna pull it up into the mountains there also. It's turning out pretty nice. If you guys make this at home, definitely send me a picture. Okay, so I have all of my greenery around my creek. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna make some trees. So I'm gonna make some conifers, which are like pine and spruce, kind of like Christmas trees. So I'm gonna start with, I'm gonna make these silhouetted as well. So they're gonna be black like the mountains. So I'm gonna start with a skinny brush. Okay, I'm gonna start at the top. I'm just gonna work my way down. This one's gonna end at the side of the creek. And I'm gonna make a couple more. We're gonna make some different sizes. Maybe this one's a little bit crooked. It's falling over. We're gonna add some on this side of the creek. We're gonna pull these ones across the creek because they're gonna look like they're on this side closest to us. Okay, so I have my trees there. And now with the same brush, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little bit more black on it and I'm gonna tap it on the palette just like I did before so that it's a little bit fluffed out. And then starting at the top here, I'm just gonna pull, just tap again. At the bottom, you can get a little bit bigger. We're just gonna tap to get those branches on those trees. So that's what it looks like when you tap instead of pull. So we'll put some on this one. Again, you don't want a lot of paint on your brushes because that will overpower the picture. So you just want to add just a little bit. And then if you'd like to make them snowy, you can put a little bit of white on your brush too. But that's what we have for our painting today. Enjoy!